Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to a very special episode today. We are going to be taking a world tour of my OG original Minecraft world. This thing was created in 1.13.2, started off as a single player on my laptop, and then was further uploaded onto the Realm server so I could play with my friends. We will not be checking out their builds, unfortunately. We're just going to be focusing on what I have done, and then I have re-uploaded it from Realms onto my newer PC here, and with that we are actually stuck in a creative mode, but that's okay. That's not going to stop us. So let's start off this tour, guys. So this is spawn right here on the obsidian block is where I dropped into this world. And this is actually a further on project, but this was my transformation spawn that I did. So let's go ahead and pop up here, and we can see that I built up. It's not done like most of these projects, unfortunately, that you'll see. So this was my interpretation of like a super rundown fortress. So we have over here this super knocked out wall with all the debris on the ground and actually trees growing out. So this world was supposed to be viewed with Wells Knights texture pack. Unfortunately, I had a lot of issues trying to get the thing uploaded and it was not compatible, so we will unfortunately have to view it without it. But if you'll come in here, I dropped in like a broken chandelier that was supposed to hang up from the now crumpled ceiling. Got ourselves a tree growing in. And a lot of overgrown. We can really see Mother Nature has taken back over. We even have a... Whoa, creeper, hello. Have a extinguished fireplace in there. Then we'll cruise on up. This place wasn't meant to be super detailed. Just a very basic stronghold. So not really too much else throughout the rest of this structure. Same with the ceiling. As you can see by this point, I was very much endgame and I had the resources to decorate with anvils. And then up here we can see that we had this palisade wall design, and I was going to go through and put in a whole bunch of structures. You can see it's all laid out nicely, and like over here we have, this is supposed to be a rundown like chapel or something like that. That's about as far as I got, and then like a tower or a windmill or something like that. Then cruising on over outside of the village, we have a whole bunch of now kind of barren farms that are just kind of growing as they see fit. I didn't quite finish them, but we can definitely see the general design that I was going for here. So I'm going to go through and list off some of the farms that I have, starting off with this slime farm, which is a Ilmango design. I wish we could just jump into spectator mode. That make it a lot easier. So this is a 2-chunk design. Like I said, is a Ilmango design, 2 chunks, and then we have everything just dropping into these chests right here, right down below. Nothing too special about it, but it has gotten me more slime balls than I could ever need, and I did find it using the slime chunk finder. So we will not be viewing this world in the order that I built it, because like I said, this was more of an end game thing, but we're going to follow this road right on over here, and this will take us to our original base that's now gone. So with the Wells Knight texture pack, all the birch leaves were gold, so those magma blocks just added a little bit of glow to this enchanted forest that I had started, which once again never got finished. But right here where we see all of these trees was actually a original village, and I left this building right here just as a little keepsake to this is where I started camp. Like I had all my chests laid out here, even have the original enchanting area, and then once I decided to outgrow that, I came over to this hillside over here, and we can see where all these beacon beams are coming up is that I have a 3x3 piston door, which is created by X Arkham Life. Mumbo Jumbo actually featured it on one of his redstone videos, and I thought it was perfect, so I went ahead and tossed it in my world. So I'll just cruise on in there, and super simple, easy door. I was not very familiar with redstone at the time, so that was very nice and easy. Then up here, there's not really too much that I had, but let's see right here, this little glass block represented where I had my first initial AFK Fissure. That is how I got started in this world. And then you'll see that I had a whole bunch of walls right here, this was a first generation iron farm. I don't remember who had created it, but that soon became obsolete, and then we'll go and check out another obsolete one. Oh, and then below that structure, which, you know what, let's just go back over there and check it out. So back over here at the spawn chunks right here, I put in a iron farm, which is the same exact version that I have in my Let's Play world. And this is the J365, but I have it loaded out to be a 4-tier system. And it has been just pumping out iron because it is in the spawn chunks. So I think somewhere in here, oh yeah, lots and lots of iron. And it's just been an ongoing process. And then I have down here, if I want to manually kill them, I can break a couple blocks and get some iron golem heads, because I do have the Vanilla Tweaks mod loaded that drops heads, as well as a few other things. So continuing back on over, we'll actually take a quick little peek at this top little monastery that I popped up in here. I was feeling very inspired to use some of the 116 blocks once we had gotten to that update. So I built myself up a little like monastery place up here to put my bees, as well as it was a good way or an excuse to raise up the terrain to hide the Logical Geek Boy creeper farm that I have below there. Once again, this is the same exact farm that I have in my Let's Play world, but I never got around to finishing the path or any of the terraforming, unfortunately. But we can see that it was very much a work in progress, but I did like how this little monastery came out. It would look a lot better if the texture pack was loaded. We can actually just drop on down through here and we'll end up back inside the bunker. We have a double kelp farm, which is a Cub Fam 135 design. And if we cruise on back over here, we'll go to a mushroom farm, which is a Il Mango design, I believe. And there will be a link to each and every single one of the creators and their content in the description. So over here, this was initially a bamboo farm that I built up. It was causing a lot of lag. So as soon as that thing finished up and filled up all these chests, I went ahead and just took it all out. There was lots of redstone, lots of pistons, lots of hopper mine carts. It was a lag nightmare. So over here, this is my sugarcane farm. This is a Impulse SV inspired farm. I did kind of take a little bit of free liberties with it, and we'll go up here where we have the brain of it, and it's super simple. Like, this is me freestoning redstone right here. So this is a Etho hopper clock. Just brings on over here to a pulse extender, and then it'll send off a double tick because it'll come through once, fire that piston, then it'll circle back around and go again, and that'll make sure that we push off any sugarcane that falls on the block. And then there are 2 sets of observer columns heading back down, which I'll show you here. So here you can see the observers just dotting along the walls. So here is actually a map of a few of my projects. So right now we are right up here. Oop, a little too high. And there's our enchanted forest. There's our spawn village. And then we'll be coming over there, checking out this area as well as this. But continuing on with the tour, this is my main storage facility. There's no redstone or anything in it. It is purely manual. And it started off only about, I think, this deep or something like that. And it has very much expanded over the course of the years that I've played on this world. So over here in our gold section is just my bulk storage for stone, cobblestone, dirt, grass. In the red area, we have bulk storage for endstone and netherrack. And then cruise on over here to the lapis section. We have all of our diorite, andesite, and granite, as well as any guardian farm drops. And then up in this first white section here is just a little bit all of the random bits, which I am very, very wealthy in this world, guys. I have so much stuff, like just ridiculous amounts of everything. There's my diamond pile, as well as ancient debris. Yeah, very, very wealthy. I, just like in my Let's Play world, I like to hoard coal ore. I don't know why, but I have just absolutely ridiculous amounts of it, as well as coal ore blocks. Most of my iron is over there at the farm, and then just redstone. I wanted to fill up so many chests. And then of course the Totems of Undying, which I actually don't have a raid farm, so that is all manually collected via standard raids. So over here, continuing on, we have an Impulse SV potion brewing setup, and this thing is kind of broken, honestly. I've had a lot of issues, probably just because of the different chunk borders and stuff, and things not loading. I didn't really think all that through when I built it, and unfortunately it's not that good. Not because of anything that he did wrong, but because of my execution. And then back in here we have a black grow room for my nether wart that I can go in there and manually collect with a fortune hoe. Continuing on over here, this is my villager trading area. I actually originally had a Wells Knight super smelter in here, and I actually tripled it up for once the 1.14 came in with the different professions. So I had a standard furnace, a smoker, and a blast furnace, and I actually really didn't end up needing it. So I just tore it all out and built myself a huge villager trader, and it has every single librarian selling every single book at the full discounted rate. And then over on this side we have a bit more of the other professions, our masons, our farmers, the shepherds, and then also the clerics down here. So right above here is actually my villager trader, so we're going to zip on back over here right quick and head right up this bubble column. And this is a Impulse SV villager breeder. I actually doubled it up, but then they glitched down there, so I just got rid of them. And it seems to be breaking, as we can see, because all the villagers are not falling through and they're claiming the beds. So yeah, I got what I needed out of it. And then we'll jump on over into this little broken out area that we saw earlier, and we have a absolutely massive crop farm. And this is once again an Impulse SV design, and or is it a Logical Geek Boy? It's one of them. I will clarify it and put that in the description for you guys. But we have potatoes, carrots, potatoes, and carrots, and we will go see shortly what that leads to. And then I also did a Halloween kind of mission here, and I got every single mob that has the jack-o'-lantern heads collected up, and we'll kind of see them dotted around this world. And I planned on creating a big old zoo in the end, which we will go look at shortly. So continuing on down the stairs, the first thing you'll see is a wool farm. So originally I had a Wells Knight wool farm in here, like block for block, exactly what it was. And then I later switched it to more automation instead of the manual method. So they are doubled up on sheep, 2 of each color, excuse me. So as we can see right there, each color are kind of stacked, and then it all comes back in here to be sorted. And I have the mini blocks loaded, which I didn't actually get them all to have it sorted by color. And this thing, once again, was never finished, but I got pretty far in the design. I just never saw it through. So I had a cow farm in here at one point to get myself lots of leather and steak, but once again it was causing too much lag, so I took it out. Over here was my absolutely massive manual pumpkin farm, which kind of doubles as a slime chunk, because unfortunately the corner over here as well as over there is a slime chunk, and we are currently at Y level 32. So all the time after I harvest, I'll get slimes in here and they break the stems, and it's an absolute nightmare. So cruising on over here, this is the meat and potatoes of the crop farm up above, and this is all manually sorted. And I finally just had to stop sorting out potatoes because I had zero use for them. I got tired of trading with the villagers, so I'm actually only collecting carrots, I believe, and then all the potatoes are just getting turned into bone meal. So I have all 4 of the little drop shoots come down here into a single Logical Geek Boy dispenser clock right here, which is super fast, but unfortunately breaks all the time when I leave the chunks. So every once in a while I gotta break that observer, which I believe it's broken. No, it's not broken right now. But all I gotta do is break the observer and then replace it, and it fixes it. So if we continue back down this hallway all the way over this way, we have a whole lot of nothing down there besides a death trap for some reason. But dropping down this little water column down here, we will get to the dispensing area for the Logical Geek Boy creeper farm. And this is once again the same design that I mentioned I have in my Let's Play world, and this thing has been pumping. So over here we can cruise on down, and then this is where all of the ins and outs and the redstone bits are. So since we're already down at this level, which I had them all color coded by carpet, as we can see this is the light gray level. If we turn the corner down here and head down this way, we will get to my original branch mine, which will then also lead to my first huge big dig area. This was just my resource collecting area. Right behind that stone wall is the creeper farm, and then I had to go through and slab up all of the areas that was spawning slimes, so that way I could increase the efficiency of my creeper farm. So we can see that I was here for a while doing lots and lots of beacon mining digging, and we can just see I think I emptied all these out. Oh no, we still have a little bit of resources that I've just left. And then just more branch mining. I really do wish that I could go into spectator mode to really put in perspective how much digging I did in this area. Which this isn't the only like big dig area. We will be checking out another one here shortly. So jumping back through this way, we'll drop into the mine, and then this is my manual concrete maker. So I just have a bucket of water, then I just put it right there and place my concrete powder and just sit here and break blocks. So inefficient. Yeah, that was something that was on the to-do list but never got around to it. And then just more digging, more branch mining everywhere. Just branch mining for days. Like I said, you saw all the diamonds that I had. So if we cruise all the way back up, that should conclude my bunker. Do believe that's everything, and I mentioned everybody that created everything. So let's continue on to the next project, which was the first build that I did. Well, not first build, but like my first kingdom. And this one was heavily inspired by Wells Night. And we'll just follow this road. You know, let's actually get ourselves a little bit more immersed in here. You can get a horse and ride it. But I did want to make it completely mob safe, so it's kind of funny if you go on this at night, because it's just a single lit trail going through these dark wilderness. And I added in all sorts of dark oak wood, trees and such to really kind of sell that forest vibe. That was before I was super comfortable with building custom trees, and it was just a lot easier for me at the time to just drop in some saplings and bone meal them. So we'll just continue on over here. We can see the starts of that kingdom. And when I say it was inspired by Wells Night, so what I did is I actually took two different cities of his and kind of combined them. I did his Ragnum, which is his Roman inspired city, as well as I did the color palette of his Nembania city and kind of just mashed them all together. So outside here we have my very, very much unfinished stable. Very, very sad. And then we have another basic Minecraft village, which this is kind of a testament to see that this is the pre 1.14 generation, and I do believe all the villagers have such perished. So dropping down into here, this wall design is the exact same one that Wells Knights used in his Nembadia. It's a straight rip off. I just love the design so much I decided to use it. But that was before I really had the confidence to break out of my shell and work more on diagonals and such. So all of this is very square cornered, which kind of eventually lost my inspiration as why this thing's not finished. But we have this really, really nice looking bridge that I thoroughly enjoyed building. And then that will lead into our main city with the custom banners and such. And then we have the first thing that I built. So I loved how he put a mob grinder underneath his Coliseum. I did not put one in there, but we can take a look. I took the time to at least try to detail out a lot of it on the inside, and I had a blast making this. It was a lot of frustration to try to get the circle right and all of the different tiers correct, and I never actually finished putting in all the iron iron armor on all of these because I was a bit concerned for lag. But most of the village of this kingdom is finished, minus about this half. So this was supposed to be an inn, and then we have a whole bunch of houses, and then this was supposed to be like a university of sorts, which this has 0 interiors. And you can see my definition of texture variation was to just spam different types of blocks, and we just have the andesite, light gray concrete powder, stone bricks, just mashed everywhere. I had no sense of gradient or anything like that, and I tried to do my best to make this area mob spawnable safe. So we'll see that I have carpets and torches just absolutely everywhere, as well as on my roofs, because last thing I wanted was to have a creeper drop in on me when I'm trying to build this. So over here we have, this was supposed to be like the main meeting hall for all of the big wigs, where they could sit and ponder and talk politics and all that. So no interior, really got us about as far as the dome, and that was it. But the whole inspiration for the city was actually in this library. So the Colosseum and this were the 2 big factors that I wanted in here. And my kind of envision of it was to have a perfectly symmetrical, like I think it was 100 blocks this way, 100 blocks this way, or like 50 and 50 or something like that. And it was supposed to have military academy, the main library, Colosseum, and this was going to be a palace, which it didn't make sense later on. So I just put in like a kind of garden area over there that never got done. But in here, this was my end all be all library that was supposed to hold all of my enchanted books, as well as this has my first generation of my villager trader, and this was in the 1.13 before they updated everything. And surprisingly, all these villagers when they updated it got locked in, so I actually have infinite training with these guys. I think it is this guy, one of these guys I just have gotten thousands of emeralds from, because like I said, they don't lock up very oftenly. So I just sat there and just spammed so many carrots to them. And then we have my librarians over here. So we'll cruise on back up here and take a look outside of the village, if I can Minecraft. And this was supposed to be like a Library of Alexandria feel, just of so much infinite knowledge. And then we had like different inspirations that was supposed to be all sorts of climates and stuff. So like this was like a little relaxing pool and pond. And then if we were to cruise over to this one, this is supposed to be more like a birch forest. It was supposed to be an area where they could just go out, read, relax and such. And once again, no custom trees in here, just a whole lot of atmospheric vibes that I wanted to go for. And once again, with Wells Knight's texture pack, those were supposed to be stone benches. So exiting back out the front here, we'll get a look at my main market, which this was my first attempt at a custom tree. And with these leaves actually being gold, it looked a lot better, as well as having the different crates and stuff around. This was the first residential house that I built in here. No interior or anything like that, but just was super proud about how it looked and just used that as the base for the rest of the buildings. And then from here I just spammed around a whole bunch of buildings, and then these two right here were my main warehouses, as well as this one that I added in later on. And this one I think is empty because it was supposed to be stone, but I ended up expanding the one in my bunker. So this one is all of the different woods. We have the big old log barrels that they brought in here somehow, I have no idea, but and then all of the various different logs as well as leaves. And there was supposed to be a nice dock area around here, but I kind of once again lost inspiration. So with that AFK Fisher as well as the Guardian Farm, I needed an area to put all of my fish and Prismarine before I put it all in the main bunker. So I just tossed this building in here, and that's what that was used for. So cruising on further down the street, we'll go into the Military Academy, which I was very happy with how this came out. It was supposed to be like a big old parade deck where they could all learn to march and lead, and then that was the barracks house where all of the students and privates would live. And then here was like the main control center where all of the bigwigs and commanding officers would live. Coming up here, we have a map of the area, which I did name this city to be Emerald Plains, because this whole area was a plains biome, obviously, and I really wanted to go for a very natural feel, and we'll see when we go further on that everything's very overgrown, lush, and organic. But I kind of, as I was terraforming out this area, I accidentally made this look like a horse head. So I don't know if you can see it, but if you kind of stare at the outline of the water around the city, you kind of see like a horse head in there. And I thought it was so cool that I left it. So like I said, I wanted a very lush and very plentiful design in here. So we see lots of vines, lots of flowers of the such to just give this a very, very lush feel. And then we will have various different buildings. I think somewhere in here I should have a blacksmith. Where has he gone and hidden? I'll just cruise up here and look for the smoke. There it is. So here's the blacksmith. This was supposed to be a shop, which should have a name on it. There it is, the Scorched Stones Blacksmithing. And once again, no interior, but if you were to cruise on back, you'll see that this is his forge area that he'd go through and make all the different armors and such. And then this building right over here, that's the library. But if we come up here, we'll see that I built an inn, and this is the Emerald Way Inn and Tavern. We'll cruise in here. This is one of the only interiors that I did, and that is for a specific reason, because if we were to cruise down here into the cellar, which looks absolutely terrible without the texture pack, and drop down here, and we will find that I actually stumbled across a triple cave spider spawner. I couldn't believe it, but there is one behind this wall right here, this wall right here, and then diagonally down right over there. So we have Sting, a nice nod to Lord of the Rings, as a band of arthropods maxed out, and then we have all of our string and spider eyes, which I actually turned into a wool farm there before I upgraded the one in my bunker. I just sit here in AFK all day, sit here and chopping up and then turning that string into wool. So with this village being very inspired by Wells Knight, I was very, very into his channel, and I still am. I support him as I can, and I actually then discovered Fwhip, and he's the one that's truly inspired me to take more landscaping approach. And actually, let me go ahead and sleep right quick. All right, much better. So if we come out this side gate right here, and this was my first attempt at very lush gardens and farmland, and I actually thought I nailed it right on the head. So we'll just jump on up and above. We have vineyards, and then a harvested field, and then all sorts of other plentiful farms ready to harvest. And then of course the pathways around them. So it was supposed to stretch all the way around here, and just because there's no way the city was going to be able to sustain on that little bit of farmland. So I planned on continuing it all the way around, and once again never got around to it. So that is pretty much my Emerald Plains in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and utilize the nether portal that I have inside my grand library, and we'll jump into the nether. And this is all got reset when the nether update came, so there's not going to be a lot in here. Unfortunately, I did have a Tango Tech Wither skeleton farm set up, but once it got reset, it was deleted. So we'll follow this, and this is the same concept that I'm using in my Let's Play series, where I'm using the different color carpets to mark the what they are. So through that big portal right there will get you back into my bunker, and then I spent many hours breaking bedrock to open up a way down into the nether here. So that was the original portal, and then obviously I broke through and such. And then I got my ancient debris mine somewhere over there, and I really didn't do much in here because, like I said, once it got reset, I was just like, and I never got around to building anything. So the green leads off to the Emerald Plains, and then this black will lead to my squid farm, which I do believe is an El Mango design. I could be wrong, but when I was looking it up, his was the closest one to what I remember following to build. So once again, the link will be in the description for you all to check out and if you need to use it. So we'll pop through the portal here and just take a quick little look at it. So I have set it up to have a giant long line of hopper minecarts to pick it all up, and then I would just flick this lever and then we can see they go and pick them all up. And then I had a cactus farm that I could use while I was AFKing here, and then massive amounts of storage for both, which they never got filled up because I'd always just take shulker boxes of them off into my world. So if we cruise up this bubble elevator, we will see that I took the time to completely drain out all of the rivers within the spawning radius of the squid farm, as well as I started to use this as an area to collect up sand as well as dirt. So you can see I've just decimated this area, not to an extreme extent, but enough that I got the resources that I needed. So we can see that this was a sugarcane and water line design that they spawn in, go to the sugarcane, fall to their death. Very, very simple and very effective design. So we'll drop back down this drop chute, turn that thing off, jump back into the nether, and we'll go check out the next farm. So once you do follow this black carpet line to my main area here, that is a portal to my other buddy's base, which, like I said, we're not going to check out, but we're going to follow this prismarine block, and then this, as you could probably guess, will lead to a guardian farm. So this was quite a ways away. I think we're 600 blocks in the nether. I think we're somewhere in the 4,000s or something like that in the overworld, but let's pop through here, take a look. This is a Cortezarino design, and you can't really see much of it from here, but this was a XP/AFKable farm. And then I set myself up with some smokers to cook all the fish, and I do believe I emptied this out relatively recently. Oh yeah, but it'll fill right back up. So we'll pop up these ladders here and we can jump out and take a look at it. So down here, this is underneath of the monument, and let's just cruise through here and we'll get out and take a look. And this, oh boy, I may have to change my particles in this one. I hope I don't crash my PC. But this was the no drain design, where it just used the soul sand to push them all up and drain them down into the killing chamber in the middle. Easy, just like that. And then I set myself up some beacons and such to add resistance as well as strength, so their thorns won't affect me too much. So somewhere around here, I'm going to have to find it. I'll probably do a cut to it, but we should find my original iron farm. Actually, there it is. So this was a ETA 740 design. I saw it in Wells Knight's series and decided to slap it into my world. So my plan was to go through and build myself a big old wooden long ship to encapsulate it all in. But as we see a recurring theme, I lost a bit of interest, as well as trying to encapsulate this absolutely massive iron farm was just too much for me. We can see I started to lay it out, started to build up the sides, and then just lost motivation. So somewhere down here we should see, yeah, there's no more villagers, anything like that. I properly disposed of them and gave them a glorious death. Oh, except for this guy. He's the last witness. Aren't you, buddy? You saw so much violence. But anyways, let me jump back over to the Guardian farm, and then we'll continue on to the next bit. So back here at the Nether Hub, we will see that I actually did a raise work design for a gold farm. Once again, the same exact one that I put in my survival Let's Play world. And I love this farm so much. I've gotten so much XP as well as drops from it. So same thing that we have going on here, nothing too special. Dropping back down here to the earth, we have two more trails. The yellow one over here will lead to my buddy's later on base. That one right there is his starter, but we'll kind of tail this one a little bit, and the gray carpet will lead us to the end. So over here we have the portal room that I just dug out. Had an idea to build something, but never carried it through. So jumping into the end, this was the big project, guys. This was supposed to be a Star Wars, their mega kind of drone control ship. And I had this thing all not quite sketched up completely, but I had a lot of inspiration built up in here. And I went through, knocked out all of the obsidian pillars, built up flying machines, knocked out all of the end, built up that main dome, and just, I really wanted world edit as well as the Lightmatica mod, so that way I could build it up and then just lay it out, because it was so much work to try to follow the sphere generator to build up all of this. So it really kind of lost the motivation for me. But over here we'll see my Avo Mance Ender, and this was the very first XP farm that I used so heavily at the beginning of the series, and it's just 4 different platforms with a Endermite in the cart, as well as a trail that we were far enough off the end island when it did exist. And there's going to be so many ender pearls in here, just massive amounts. Don't tell me why I saved them all, but this thing is pretty much entirely full. We have an enchanting setup, and then different diamonds and books to do any enchanting needed. And then of course I did create a dropper system when I got tired of storing all of that loot. So if we cruise on back through here, we'll jump to the end portal and take us on to one of my favorite builds. So right inside this main dome is where the center of the end island was, and that will take us back to our spawn. And let me go ahead and sleep right quick so we can take a look at this during the daytime. Okay, so originally we went left off that road to my bunker as well as to the Emerald Plains village, but if we were to hook right and follow this pathway along here, we will get more of that immersion. I didn't quite do the full terraforming process. I just laid out a path and then slapped in a couple little things to pique your interest, such as this little camp. I'm going to try not to spoil too much of the build here, but we have ourselves a broken cart that he had the wheel fall off, so he decided to pitch up a little tent here. He's got his trusty dog and he was just waiting for some help. But if we were to cruise on down this road, we'll start to see a little teasers of this main city that I started. And oh man, I love this thing. It was just too much work. I bit off more than I can chew, and it slowly just kind of ate at my motivation to the point to where I just stopped it. So we'll cruise on up here, and more gardens and farmland, as well as a house for the main guy to take care of it, and then the custom pathways with all of the bushes and visual interest along the way. And my buddy's starter base is right around that hill, which we'll take a little peek at. I kind of dedicated this area to him, so you will see his base right there, and I decided to enhance the area around it to give him something nice to look at, and then named this building after him, the Reader Farm, because his Minecraft name is Reader's Digest, which is absolutely hilarious because his last name is Reader. Okay, so now comes the grand reveal. I did a little bit of terraforming because I wanted there to be this kind of, you saw the sides of the city, but then you come around here and then you get this full effect. And with that, here this thing is, guys. Oh man, I love how this came out. This was heavily inspired by Flip's World, his main like water city, as far as the height of the walls, and then adding these top bits right here. So there's 2 entrances. That one leads to a mostly unfinished area, but we have 2 bridges, one straight and then one on a diagonal, as well as a arch, which I need to go back and add some string to wire it all off. But we'll see a recurring design of the big old doors as well as the gates. But cruising through here, this is the main entrance that I used most commonly. And then of course we have the dragon heads, because I thought that just seemed so awesome to have a very Game of Thrones inspired look to it. And then of course there's the drawbridge with the hinges and such. And then we have a little guard shack right here that I came in and just put in different names, and I was trying to build a lore behind it. So this place is called Glen Wolf. So we'll just kind of leave that there. And then this would be a lot nicer if we could get the actual texture variation in there, but unfortunately that's just the way it is. So we have the main way general goods store. This was where I stored shulker boxes of stone, dirt, and that I needed for this absolutely massive terraforming project. This was the largest one that I had done to date. So here we have another FWIP like mead cart, and then different buildings and such, as well as the main tavern, which has a partially completed interior but never quite finished it out. So in here, I was, like I said, I was taking a lot of inspiration from FWIP. We have little nooks and crannies that you can come in here and just have small bits of interest before you could go through into each house. And I try to put in different fireplaces in every single one, just so when I did eventually do the interiors, it would be there. So then we have a bakery, very small, very quaint, and then this is a blacksmith shop, which I did love how I did the separate tower and the little step over like that. Then we have an upgraded forge area with like a little pole handle for a bellows to heat up the blocks that they can sit there and blacksmith away. So if we were to actually cruise up this little path up here, we have the Masons Guild. And I had a lot of fun building this. Scale wise, it's a little much, but I wanted to kind of push my limits here, so I created all sorts of beautiful gardens and stuff, and then diagonal entrances, and then it's very symmetrical to a certain extent. But if we pop out here, we have a big old iron hammer to represent, the masons and their building, as well as this quaint little garden sitting area that they could talk and discuss the major plans for their city. And then the inside wasn't quite finished, but I think I was on track with the floor texture and such. I was really enjoying that process. Then over here, this was kind of more after the 1.16 upgraded. I wanted to include some of those blocks in my building, so we just have some very nice manor houses. This was the wealthier part of the city, and it's not quite complete, but I think it looked very, very nice on the outside. And then this was another expansion. This was a direct representation of the Monster Hunter Guild that FWIP built in one of his cities. I kind of took that same design and palette and adapted it into my world. So there's really not much to this city. Like I said, it's very small, and I had big plans, but it was just too much. We can see all of this terraforming that I did. This was an extreme hills biome, so I went through, smoothed it all out, created this nice, beautiful grade, and then I actually, if we come over here, we can see that I wanted to do a double wall design. I was very inspired by the actual true lore of the Winterfell city from Game of Thrones, as well as just the very intimidating look. So the kind of view that I was hiding from you was going to be of these double tall walls that you have these ginormous towers overlooking it, just making sure that any attackers were just going to be completely forded off. But I never got around to finishing the tops of these walls. They were just going to have a standard kind of protection on them. They weren't going to have these nice, beautiful roofed off areas. And then this was supposed to have like a big old catapult on here to guard the roads and was the main way. So popping up here to the POWs, this was when Grian started his mansion on Hermitcraft Season 7. And the original design I've had in here, I think there's a map of it somewhere, but it was very square and I wasn't happy with it, so I took inspiration from Grian's mansion and brought it into my world. We can see that I started to mess with the gradients and stuff and really trying to increase my skill as a builder. And this is all supposed to be darker with Wells Knight's texture pack, so this was supposed to be a very dark and ominous main village area with the benches and stuff. We can see the 3 triple dragon head for the king and queen's palace here right here, which just currently has a chess monster, but they could sit up here and then have their court and such. Cruising on over here, we have the main dining hall. And this was almost a like Hogwarts inspired design, and I wanted to build it all on a diagonal, which I think it came out pretty well with these walls and windows and such. Needed to go back in there and add the beams and supports, but I liked the open feel that you had, kind of like a Red Wedding where you had this overview of the main table and stuff. So we can see that I had lots of plans for many stories of this thing, as well as different attic spaces and stuff, and I wanted to really sell the idea that this area, the kind of lore that I had behind it, was that this area got trapped, the palace in particular, in an eternal winter, almost like Frozen. I can't say that it is a direct interpretation of it, but the lore basically hinted at that the main king gave his life trying to break a drought that a neighboring enemy city had put on it. In doing so, they trapped the palace in an eternal winter, trying to bring rain to water the crops of the area. So there's that, and then I wanted to, before I forget, let's cruise on over here, and we have the main keep's library. And this was supposed to kind of take inspiration from like Harry Potter and stuff, where you could like activate a lectern or something like that and open up a door down here that was supposed to lead to like a special, area that the king only had access to or something like that. And it was gonna really make it to where when I did share this world that you guys would have a lot of little Easter eggs to find and your own adventures to take in this world. Okay, so like I said, this was a ginormous terraforming project, and you're probably wondering where I got all that grass from besides over by the squid farm, as well as the stone to build it all. So if we actually drop down here into the beacon area, we'll see that I did a lot of digging here. So my main inspiration where I wanted this thing to be end goal was I wanted to create a Blackreach feel from Skyrim down here. So I was going to dig all of this out underneath the city and re-terraform it to be that kind of dwarven feel, as well as the giant mushroom areas and such. So you're going to be able to drop in through that main palace, find some nice cave systems and stuff to follow, and then you would end up in this absolutely massive cavern. But yeah, once again, a lot of digging, kind of lost interest, and that happens, I'm not perfect by any means. Cruising over here, this was also supposed to be included in the city design. We're going to have some main waterfalls going down here that had like a escape hatch from the palace, as well as more farmland that I went through and knocked out all of the grass. The grass blocks stayed, but all of the actual grass stayed, or you know what I mean. I knocked down all of that grass and re-terraformed it. And I wasn't quite happy with how the field design laid out, so kind of lost interest there. So let me find somewhere safe to sleep right quick. I don't know why it wouldn't let me, because we're in creative mode, but let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so now that it's daytime, this whole swamp biome was supposed to be included into the lore of the city, which, like I was talking about how the king kind of wanted to stop the drought, which put it in eternal winter, actually also caused a severe flood that came down and actually knocked out half the city. So this was all going to be like the ruined parts of it that it washed out. This was going to be like a sheer cliff face of the area that had eroded away. I was going to have partial buildings and stuff like that. I had so many plans that just never quite came true. And this part of the map was supposed to be the poorer area. Then we had the nice area and like the middle class. I had it all laid out in my mind, and it's something that I would love to get back to, but since I have my new series, it's really kind of taken a back burner. So there's his starter base, and actually not too far we can actually see the Emerald Way city come into rendering. So all of this stuff was supposed to be super close, that you could just walk from one city to the other. But I absolutely had a blast building this city as well as playing in this world. And I feel that I learned a lot along the way, just to increase my skills as a builder, as well as my understanding of redstone and how all of that works. Really shaped me to be the person that I am today, as well as paved the way for me to start my YouTube channel and start that Let's Play world. But that, I do believe, is it, guys. I do hope that you enjoyed this tour, and this was just supposed to be something a little special for Memorial Day. I wanted to take a break and not focus so much on trying to create the videos for the channel, but actually taking time to put in the remembrance for a lot of my military buddies that have perished from my time in the service. So this was supposed to be something that you guys could enjoy, as well as giving me a much earned break. So that's what will have to do it for me, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like down there, as well as a subscribe if you're new. Drop a comment what your favorite part of this world is. I am genuinely interested to hear what you guys liked about this world, and if any of this inspired you to start your own world or any of that, please do let me know. I'd love to know if I inspired someone else the same way that other content creators have inspired me. Alright guys, have a good one, and I will see you in the next one.